according to the document that I have here, that a special poll conducted in the Takrade Second D, Efia, Esikado Ketan, and Kwesimintim constituencies in the Western region shows that 69% of voters believe that Ghana is headed in the wrong direction, 15% believe it is headed in the right direction, and 16% say that they have no opinion. And the poll also shows that 68% of voters disapprove of the performance of the president, while 23% approve and 9% did not have an opinion. So you can sort of see the trajectory of the poll. And I'm just reading a little bit of the executive summary. But let me not go into too much details, and let's allow the executive director of the Global Info Analytics to do the explanation for us. Musa Dankwa has joined us on the phone line. Mr. Dankwa, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Star.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for your time shared with us. So, this latest poll is asking a number of questions. Can you first of all give us an overview, of the research that you sought to do with this poll?
All right. Thank you very much. We've been focusing our survey or polls recently on certain critical constituencies in the country. And this time around, we went to Western region, and in particular, I was being precise in Takrade, Second D, Efia, Kusimintim, and Esikado. And these are the stronghold of MPP in the Western region within the SDMA enclave. To poll those areas to see what is happening in the heartland of the MPP in the Western region. And exactly that's what we saw.
Right. So in deciding on these, did you decide because the Western region, for example, has the potential to be a swing region? Because you also mentioned that these are MPP stronghold constituencies. These are places where MPP has seats. But is there a potential for it to swing? That's why you decided that you were going to focus on these specific constituencies within the Western region.
All right. We've had earlier data from our national tracking pool, which was pointing out to potential problems. But the samples were not good enough for us to draw a conclusion that, yes, it would be the case. So we decided to single them out and go back there with massive sampling numbers to confirm or deny what we've been seeing in the national tracking poll.
Right. So what was the methodology or the approach, to putting out this poll?
What we did was to first look at the voting population of the constituents and decide the confidence level we want to have, and that then decided which sample size are we going to consider for these various constituencies. And then it gave us a margin of error that we should work with. And then when we go to the constituency, we interview people across all the electoral areas of those constituencies. We covered all the electoral areas in these constituencies. And we interview people randomly in the street, try to balance the gender, making sure that we don't oversample men or women, and retain the national average of men and women. And then also, what we do is we don't ask you of your demography when we're speaking to you. You finish answering all the questions before we go into demography, as to your age, your religion, your ethnic groups. And the last question we ask you is which party do you usually vote for in an election? If you say, oh, me, I normally vote for NDC, we will put you down as NDC sympathizer. If you say, oh, usually vote for, or normally vote for MPP, we'll put you down as MPP. And then those who say, oh, I vote sometime here, I vote here and there, then that makes you a floating voter.
Right. So, what were the key or critical questions that you put forth in this poll that you did in these constituencies? What were the questions that you were asking the participants of the poll?
Generally, we use the same question we've been asking everybody, so that we can have uniformity across many parts of the country that we can compare. First and foremost, we ask about the direction of the country. What do you think Ghana is in the right direction or wrong direction? We then ask you about the performance of the president. Is he doing his job well or not? And then we look at people's standard of living in the past 12 months. Do you say that it's improved or gotten worse or it's unchanged? We do ask them about their optimistic or optimism, whether it will improve next year or not. And then we kept asking them about the likelihood of Matikuku Prempe or on their voting intention in December. And then also, this time around, we asked them about whether they support or they oppose the party manifestos that they just released. So we asked about the MP's manifesto, how many support it, and the NDC manifesto, how many support it, and then the GTP, how many support it. And then we asked them about the key issues that would influence their voting decisions in this election. And here you have the current economic condition, the past performance of the parties, or the credibility of the candidate, and also party manifesto, among others. So these are the kind of questions we ask them. And then obviously, who do you intend to vote for in the presidential election, and who do you intend to vote for in the parliamentary election?
Right. So let's try and take them one after the other. What is the theme? So when it came to the president's job approval rating among these constituencies, what does it look like? What are the people in these constituencies saying about the president's job?
Yeah, only 23% approve of his performance. 23%.
Only 23%. 23% of those in these constituencies approve of the president's job.
Yes. And 68 disapprove.
And 68 disapprove.
Disapprove. And 9% say they have no opinion.
Right. So it means the approval rating of the president in these areas is quite low.
Yes. In mathematical terms, you can look at it in terms of subtracting the approval from disapproval. So you have about negative 45% disapproval.
Wow. And I guess you also asked them a question about whether or not they are optimistic if, say, the approval ratings of the president is going to be better in the next 12 months, right?
No, the optimism is about their standard of living. We asked them about their standard of living.
About their standard of living.
Yes. So in the Western enclave that we went, 9% said compared to last year, the standard of living has improved. But 47% said it has gotten worse in that enclave. And 37% said it hasn't changed. And 7% did not have an opinion. But when we asked them whether they are optimistic that it will improve in the next 12 months, 45% said yes, 18% said no, and 37% said they have no opinion whether it will improve or not.
So the general theme on that particular score about the standard of living is that the standard of living has worsened significantly,
yes.
Quite a majority.
Absolutely. Nearly 84% said either worse or unchanged.
And these are constituencies where the NPP has parliamentarians.
Has always won.
And they've always won these constituencies.
Yes, since 1996.
Wow. So about how likely Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's nomination will influence a vote for the NPP in December elections. What were the results there as well?
Only 21% said likely. 21%. 43% said it's unlikely to influence them. And 36% did not have an opinion on how to influence them.
So generally, it doesn't matter whether or not Napo is the running mate. They will still vote how they will vote.
Yes.
Right. Just 21% say that it will influence their votes.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the support for the manifestos. Support for the NPP's manifesto and support for the NDC's manifesto. What were the figures there? What are the people saying?
Now, for the NPP manifesto, 40% oppose it and 28% support it. And that leaves us with minus 12% opposition. So more people don't support it compared to those who support it.
That's for the NPP's manifesto?
Yes.
And the NDC's?
38% support and 28% oppose. So they have plus 10% of support among the constituents.
Okay. Now there's a very interesting metric also here, which is about the manifestos that are credible and can be achieved. Can you help us understand that particular one? Because you asked the question on the NPP manifesto, the NDC manifesto, which one is more credible and can be achieved? Essentially asking which one is more realistic Which one more do the people believe that they can, or the parties can actually do? Can you break that one down for us?
Let me get that page. We asked them about their impression about the manifestos of the parties and which one do they believe has the potential of being realized. And I'm just trying to get to the page. Just bear with me.
Okay, yeah. So you're trying to get to the page, and what I'm seeing is that the question was which of the following manifesto is credible and can be achieved, and you break it down: the overall, then for the Ifia constituency, Esika, Duketan, Kwesimin team,
Yes.
Second D, and then Takrade.
Yes. Overall, 30% of the respondents said that NDC manifesto is more credible and achievable. For the MPP, it's 22%. And 3% is for Movement for C manifesto along Samartin's plan. And a whopping 45% have no opinion. So overall, you can see that majority of voters don't have opinion at the manifesto that these parties have released. But then the numbers differ from one area to the other. If you look at Ifia constituency, 30% believe NDC manifesto is more credible. Only 9% say so for the MPP. When it comes to the Escabikitan, 31% of them said it is MPP's manifesto. And then for NDC, it's 26%. When you come to Kwesimin team, it's really, really bad there. 13% support for NDC's one, 12% for MPP, and 68% you don't have opinion about any of those manifestos. And then when it comes to Second D, MPP has 44%, NDC 19% support, and 37% did not have an opinion. And when it comes to Takwadi, 62% said it's NDC, 11% say the MPP, and 24% did not have opinion.
So there are quite a number of people who seemingly don't have an opinion on, the manifestos of either the NPP or the NDC or even the movement for change. What does it mean? Does it mean that people are not really interested in perusing, or perhaps don't even believe in manifestos? What is this pattern telling us?
It could be a combination of factors, including maybe lack of engagement or by voters on the manifestos. That could be another reason. But if you look at the question as to what actually influenced you the most, manifesto is the last item. So it tells you that people don't pay too much attention on manifesto, but they are telling us that 70% of the responses are saying that the current economic condition will play a key role, most influencing role in their decision, followed by past performance of the party.
Right.
And then the credibility of the candidates, and lastly, the party's manifesto. So they will kind of manifestos, but voters really don't really take it that serious.
So that's the last thing that they would even consider before voting for any candidate.
Absolutely.
But the current economic condition, that's what is most pertinent for a lot of the voters, right?
Yes, in the areas we sampled.
Now, there's also another question about Dr. Bamia says he's just the driver's mate and should not be blamed for the current economic crisis. And you were asking people whether or not they agree with this assertion. What did you find out on that score?
Only 16% of them agree. 65% disagree. And then 29% did not have an opinion. So it tells you that Bamia is at odds with the voters in the Western as far as this party is concerned.
And these are MPP strongholds.
Yes.
And they don't agree that he's just a driver's mate, and so he can't
Absolutely
do much.
Not.
They don't agree.
No.
55% of the respondents.
Yes.
And only 16% agreeing, and just 29% having no opinion.
That's correct.
Right. That's interesting. So there's also the aspect of which of the candidates understands and cares for them, for the people. You decided that you were going to ask them this question. Among all the candidates, from Alan Chamanting to Dr. Bamia to John Mahama, you were asking the people which of the candidates they believe cares about them. What did you find out there as well?
No, this question is very important for us. We are able to run a triangulation to see whether these people will still vote for people they think cares and understands them better. And I think if you want a measure of really how people feel about candidates, this is the question you should be asking them. And on this score, Mahama is on 36%, 36. Baumia is on 23%, Alan 4%. Someone else, other than this person we mentioned, is 12%. And 25% said none of them cared for people like them.
So what does this mean? Because I see that those who say none of them care are 25%. That's quite a significant number. Does that point to some sort of potential apathy?
Yes, it does. It does. And in the Western region that we went, this area, about 21% of them said they will vote.
21% say they are not going to vote.
Yes, and these are people who said none of them care for people like them.
Wow. But then on that score also, it looks like JDM is standing a bit tall because there are 36% of the people in these constituencies, which are MPP strongholds, who are saying that they believe that John Mahama understands and cares about them.
Yes, it gives you an early clue as to how they will vote if they were asked to vote today.
Right. So let's come to the parliamentary candidates, beginning with Esika Duketan. You did a poll there for the parliamentary candidates and how the people intend to vote. So there's Charles Bisu for Esika Duketan, there's Grace Ayensu Dankwa of the NDC, and then there are the others. What are the polls saying there?
We have Charles Bisu on 44%, Grace Ayensu Dankwa of NDC 36%, 5% for other candidates if they do emerge, and 15% said they are undecided. So you could see that even though Charles Bisu has the lead,
yes,
about 15% of voters could change the outcome of the race.
So 44% for Charles Bisu, 36% for Grace Ayensu of the NDC, but it could swing depending on the 15% of the voters who are undecided.
Yes, and how they decide and where they go.
So let's come to the Kwesiminsim constituency, because that one also looks very, very interesting, because there seem to be quite a number of people in the Kwesiminsim constituency who are undecided as to who they want to vote for.
Yes, it's very similar to that of Escado. 33% of voters intend to vote for Hamid, and 24% for Philip T.P. Bachman of NDC. 8% will vote for Joe Mensa, an independent candidate, and 35% are undecided. This race could go either way.
So what do you see happening in this particular constituency, which, of course, the MPP holds the seat, and Prince Hamid Ama is contesting Philip. Fifi Bachman of the NDC is also contesting. So with this, what does it mean? Does it mean it's no more a safe seat for the MPP?
No, it is not. I mean, if you are an incumbent government and you have 35% of people saying they are undecided, you have to be very, very, very worried. But these guys could break against you. And that's the danger for people who are undecided.
Right. So let's come to the second D. Andrew Japamesa is the incumbent MP. He's also contesting again. It looks like it's a safe one for him.
On the face of it, it looks safe. He's leading 52%. And then Nyami Keble Ama of NDC 24%. Others 1%. But 23% of them are undecided, which if they all go to Nyamike, Mesa will still stay through. But the danger for him is that, for both of them, over 80% of the people who intend to vote for them are telling me, they will tell us that they are neutral about their vote. So they could change their vote or they could maintain it. So they are neutral, which means that any disturbances in the poll could change the numbers quite widely.
And this includes some of the people who make up the 52% who say they'll vote for Andrew Japamesa.
Yes, about 87% of them are saying that they could change their mind or may not change their mind.
Wow. Okay, so let's come to the Takoradi constituency. This is also a stronghold of the MPP, correct?
Absolutely. Takoradi has been MPP since, I think, the exception of, I don't remember, some or so in 1992.
Yes.
Yes. Since then, he's been MPP.
Yes, but you're finding something very interesting here with regard to, the pattern.
I think the regional minister is on the verge of losing his seat. 61% of voters in Takoradi intend to vote for Frederick Feidu of NDC. Only 13% would vote for Kwabena Okyere-Darko Mensah, Regional Minister MP. 8% for other candidates and 18% undecided. Now, the striking point here is that nearly 52% of MPP voters, of people who voted for Darko in the last election, are not voting for him again. He has lost 52% of people who voted for him to Feidu. And that is quite dangerous. And if you look at the by party affiliation, look, about 7% of MPP people are voting for NDC candidates. 93% are voting, 86% are voting for MPP's candidates, their own. And when it comes to MPs, 93% of them are voting for their own candidates. And among floating voters, that is where Okyere-Darko Mensah is. Only 8% of them intend to vote for him. 32 will vote for NDC candidates. So he has a big problem across the constituency, everywhere. Even within his own backyard, his own people, he has a problem.
Was there any indication as to why the pattern is changing? Why people seemingly are disappointed and don't want to vote for him again?
Well, for him in particular, we don't ask him why you're voting for A or B.
Right.
It's just a question that we ask them. But most of them, you can trace that person back to the economy, the feeling of the direction of the country, and so on and so forth. And some of them, too, you have local issues that you have to fight. But a lot of the MPP MPs who are struggling, they are doing so simply because of the national perception of where the country is headed and the economy.
Okay. So for the Takoradi constituency is one that we should watch. The MPP could lose it if they don't. But but given the time to elections, we have barely 4 months to elections. Is there a possibility of some recovery? Could they do something to recover?
76% of respondents in Takoradi said they have made up their mind.
That's interesting. The
votes are locked. It means the votes are locked.
So we could
only 6% they could change their mind. 6%.
So we could be witnessing a change or a swing or a flip of the Takoradi constituency.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And as one you have a Efia constituency. In Efia constituency, MPP is also in trouble there. If you look at Efia, Abdul Majid Nassam of NDC, 73%. Isaac Wama Nyako, 14%. Others, 2%. Undecided, 11%. Now, if you look at people who said they are MPP in their constituency, 24% are voting for NDC candidates.
Wow. So there are people who are NPP, but they say they will vote for an NDC candidate because they don't want Isaac Boama Nyako of the MPP to be their MP.
Absolutely. And 74% of floating voters are voting for NDC candidates.
Wow.
Only 11 are doing so for Boama of MPP. That is a good thing.
So for the Efia constituency and also the Takoradi constituency, where the parliamentary seats could change, what is it looking like in the presidential election? Because some of the people who are NPP, you are saying, say they will vote for the NDC candidates. Are we going to see skirt and blouse? What is it looking like for the Efia constituency and the Takoradi constituency specifically?
Let me look for the numbers if I would find it. Let me just. I don't think I've done that.
Okay.
But I will look for it eventually. Then we can share that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Let's look at it. I think I have it now.
Okay, let's look at it.
Mahama is 58%, Baumia 11%, Alan 3%, Bediako 1%, others 3%, 7% are undecided, and 18% said they will not vote. When it comes to Esikado, Mahama 26%, 26%, Baumia 31%, Alan 2%, Bediako 2%. 15% are undecided, 23% will not vote in Esikado. When it comes to Kwesi, 17% for JM, 13% for Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, 11% for Alan Martin, 4% for Rafa Mbediak, 2% others, 11 are undecided, and 42% 62% will not vote in Kwesi. In second D, Mahama is 19%. Baumia is 45%. Alan is 0. Kwambedia was 6%. 17% are undecided and 13% will not vote. In Takrady, Mahama 62%. Baumia 11%. 4% for Alan Shematin. 5 for Nana Kwambedia. 11 are undecided and 8% will not vote.
So it means there's not even likely to be any skirt and blouse.
No, in Ifia, in Takrady, they are doing straight jacket.
So overall, when it comes to the presidential elections for these constituencies, it looks as though JDM is standing tall.
Yes, on people who have committed to vote.
On people who have committed to vote.
Mahama is 53%. Baumia 34%. Alan 6%. Media 5%. Others 2%. Now, if you look at what we call the all voters model, that looks a bit scary because Mahama is on 36% coffee, Baumia 23%, Alan 4%, Kwambedia also nearly 4%, and 4% are undecided, and 21% will not vote in that area, which is huge.
Yeah. 21% are deciding that they will not vote. That is the unweighted all voters, right? Voting all intentions.
Yes.
So where do we trace the reason for not wanting to vote to? Do we trace it back to the earlier statistics of the economic conditions,
absolutely,
past record and all that?
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, so generally, before we leave this conversation, what should the various stakeholders be doing with this reports or this research that you have come out with, especially the candidates involved and the political parties? What should they be doing with it?
Look, they have their top researchers. If they are in doubt, they can go and confirm the data. We give them a sample size for every electoral area, and then where we went, can go and repeat the same survey and see what they find.
Musa Dankwa, I'm grateful that you spoke in to us here on the Morning Star.
It's my pleasure.
All right. So that's Musa Dankwa. Musa Dankwa is the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. They've come out with their latest poll. This latest poll looked at a number of constituencies in the Western region, particularly the Efia, Takrady, Sekondi, Kwesi Mintim, and Esikado Ketan constituencies. And these are constituencies that are currently occupied by NPP MPs. Traditionally, they have always voted for the NPP, and there are some very, very interesting results that are coming up. And particularly, he takes a look at the Takrady constituency, where there's a likelihood that there is going to be a change. And that's something that we need to watch, or those in the Takrady constituency need to watch and begin to start asking themselves some questions over there. That's the NPP, right? And it'll be interesting to see how all of this actually translates to the December 7 elections. For the Efia constituency as well, it's also one to watch because it looks like the NPP candidate there is not too popular among the voters. But of course, I believe that you can get to the website of Global Info Analytics and get a full report for yourself. You're still listening to Starr 103.5 FM. This is the Morning Star. And very soon we'll be having a conversation on physiotherapy, right? Because